Hi. Hello. Welcome. Today. Alright. Right. So, one day you're all noticing that obviously Rec Room is shutting down on the 1st of June, which will be the 10-year of Rec Room Regional starting. I would probably guarantee that if Rec Room actually is pretty much shutting the doors, and I just want to share my experience with Rec Room and how it's managed to come fruition with everything else. And some people are like skeptical because obviously Rec Room is now finally dying. It's going, but all things must come to an end at one point in life. As you know, it's my first ever talking live stream. I want to put my points across about Rec Room. That as a whole, that Rec Room can succeed if it had the right tools and capabilities and the right budget amount to actually support everything. And, you know, everything else as a whole is like, I know people now these days are different to different genres of games and whatnot, but it can come to fruition if everything goes to show and plan. Because Rec Room is now being shut down officially on the 1st of June, which everyone knows about. And I got a theory, hope in mind that obviously we know that Snapchat's acquired a part of their assets and a couple of their teams. So I am doing a hoping stream kind of thing to basically look at thinking at two different barrels of ways about this. Because I think Snapchat could reinvent Rec Room, but in a slightly different way, where it could be like part of a mobile, but it can also be part of console if the elements to it to recreate Rec Room, but recreate it how it should have been in the first place, where we had the right set amount of players, data, money spent. But logically, I think for a second that I don't think Snapchat. I don't think. Sorry, I don't think Rec Room is officially gone because I think Snapchat's going to do something because they took half of the Rec Room staff to say quote unquote to make the Snap glasses, the AI glasses. So it's like, is it that Snapchat is saying that because they want to compete with the Google and the Meta glasses, Are they just saying that just to make everybody think that they're going against the classes when technologically they could go against that to go and make a rec room, but a better version of rec room? So, as everyone probably can see or probably tell about it, but that's my verdict opinion. But as a whole, for me, Rec Room was pretty much like a version of PlayStation Home, but a lot different because PlayStation Home was an absolute godsend of its time. And I can put my hands up and say this, that Sony screwed themselves up with the PlayStation Home. That was way above time, and it wasn't a part of VR motion at the time because obviously it was in the early 28 2008 era for 2013 whatever. But I remember playing PlayStation Home back in the day, and yeah, they had a good solid base with Sony, everything else, but Rec Room had its original stuff, and they was on the pretty much the peak of the market when it released. But on the way, Rec Room kind of slipped down, whereas PlayStation kind of PlayStation Home kind of just died off eventually. Like similar with Rec Room, but with a lot more fan base. I would say it's majority of the Rec Room and everything else like VR Chat, Rec Room, and all the other stuff now are competing, and because it's repetitive competing, the obviously Rec Room is repetitive. It's the same stuff, the same things every time, over and over again. There's no fresh in games now. All it is, it's just militaries, Rec Room originals, um, hangout meetings and all this lot, and getting to meet other people and stuff like that. Obviously, yeah, we had obviously kids contents and stuff like that, but my personal opinion for me, and I don't know if anyone else wants opinion on it, but if you do, answer in the chat. I say Rec Room was at the peak of time for everybody, but for the majority, now it's dying off because obviously now the VR section of the industry, all the VR industry is going. So because it's all VR content and VR related, half of it now is dying down. So that's why you got right, Rec Room's gonna go, and obviously now we know on the 1st of June. Majority of my concern is what's going to be next. Because, yeah, we do have another server called Radium that's going around at the minute, and that's on Discord. You got to get into a Discord, but it's a hard, lengthy process getting in. As long as you've got an iOS and an Oculus or a VR headset, you are good. The Radium should technically bring this to PlayStation to the PlayStation and actually make it whole, but it's a small group and net that people have done throughout the time because they've gone back to the 2021 version of Rec Room. But there's so many key factors into this because we have people that are recreating so many things, but we should have original people to create the game to make an absolute delta game where they can come out and go, right, well, we've got majority of everything else, and we'll have more different says and different ways of starting everything and etc. But in 2016, when Rec Room first opened in the 1st of June 2016, I kind of went on the couple of days after because at first I thought it was just one of them pre-open things and stuff like that. But since 2016, I've played Rec Room and it was a big nostalgia thing for me because we had different content, but it was fresh, it was new. Great, yeah, it was great to meet new people, and it was great to chat to people that's got like social anxieties and stuff like that that they can't really socialize and stuff like that. So I do have my prompts with Rec Room because that helped people with social anxieties, with anxiety as a person as a whole, and putting the community together. But the community fan base for majority of everything is different. Like it's completely shot different because it's everything they wanted and that, and plus they had 150 million users, and it just that fan base just died off in the end because it was completely, like I said, it was completely repetitive. They didn't understand at the point that Rec Room would come a last thing because of everything else. But as of we all know, it's going. The fan base is pretty much come back together again. Like we've all come to share our opinions and our voices and what really Rec Room was for us all. And yeah, it's gonna be sad to hear enough that it's when it's gonna go, but everything goes at an end of price. But I am gonna put my values across that I hope Snapchat makes a new Rec Room. So it's actually better than the original, but a little bit of a twist. See, there's some content creators that are going, oh, well, we're glad that Rec Room's gone, but yeah, you're kind of putting yourself at a win because you've you literally say you're glad that Rec Room's gone, but yet you was playing the Rec Room at the same time when you were saying that. Like, Rec Room was always a massive VR social insane. You know, it's an experiment thing. But for me, Rec Room as a whole changed so many people's lives. Like, we got to experience different things, create things, and have a fun time to pass the time and stuff like that. Pretty much everything now is got to do with the industry, the gaming industry, the VR industries, and pretty much everything else as a whole. Because we've been through the same scenario with PlayStation Home. We've been through the same scenarios with Nebula Realm, and now Rec Room. But Rec Room was actually at a good peak at the time. The majority of the time at the peak was lockdown because people was at home and we couldn't go out. No one could never go out at this point. So it was good. It was good for the Rec Room community. It was good. But sometimes with Rec Room, it's like you got to play the do's and don'ts. So obviously the do's and don'ts on Rec Room is a lot different than it is. But this is pretty much my experience of Rec Room. First few days on Rec Room when it released, it was alright. Got to meet a couple of people, yeah, it was great. Got to start actually getting into it just a little bit. Because at first I thought, oh, this could be another version of PlayStation Home, but technically it was a VR model version. But PlayStation Home was never a VR moment. I wish PlayStation Home was a VR because it would be so much of an experience to see what it would be like in that era of VR when we had that. And so many people won't understand that there's so many popular things that with VR coming to tuition is a lot different to understanding what it is now. It's majority of everything. Like you've got Roblox. robots are killing the industry. Like, legitimately are killing the industry right now. Because their profits are higher with the fee, with the roadblocks and the all that lot. And it's a population. That's the thing. The population now is turning to the roadblocks or turning to VR. I would recommend it to go to probably Roblox or VR, but VR is a different thing. VR chat's a different thing because obviously it's had a massive surge of boost since Rec Room announced it's shutting down. So is Roblox and stuff like that. But I have one thing in mind that we had like we've seen a bunch of things going around about Snapchat Inc.'s got half of the spots and stuff like that, or half of the staff facilities and stuff like that. So I think, to be honest, Rec Room for everybody was a part of something, but understanding what that part was. I would love to hear anybody's in the comments to see what their Rec Room versions are like, and how what it was like for them and for Rec Room, and what could have been the best for Rec Room. Obviously now we can't really say that now because obviously Rec Room's gone. It's showing its bods, but it's been basically 10 years of Rec Room. So I'm saying it's been 10 years of made in a Rec Room. It's had a 10-year run. Yeah, it could have gone for a bit more, etc. It could have gone a bit more, but the CEO of Rec Room and everyone else is just had enough of the financials game, because it was financial. Because technically, Rec Room was in a massive amount of debt, because obviously they started putting the money into the game late on into Rec Room's life, and there wasn't really listening to our opinions. There was like, oh, but we can make it a lot better by doing this and making it out a bit more competitive with Rec Rooms, games originals, and stuff like that. But to my point of knowledge, I don't think Rec Room had a chance to be more successful. But knowing that there can be a successful thing, it's a big part of things. With all the industries now, with the gaming industry, it's a lot harder to get your games pushed. It'll be a lot harder to see what does go next. Like, what would go next? What's going to be the next line to go, and which game's going to take a massive hit, but which game is also going to take a massive profit after Rec Room, because, like I said, Roblox is going to get a profit. VR is going to get a profit because VR's pretty much said out in on X saying, "Oh, we are welcome to have you on here." You know, from Rec Room to VR, because that's going to boost VR's rocketing. So, would VR chat now? My potential idea on this: would VR chat now do what Rec Room did? Go from the VR set to the consoles. But who knows? It's up to the VR chat system. It's up to anything. But you know, as a whole, I would like to say thank you to all the Rec Room team that's pretty much built Rec Room. Thanks for being around for 10 years, because it's astounding in the industry. Because it's a massive thing to keep for 10 years. And sadly, it's going to go. But Rec Room could do a lot better. In fact, if anybody could do anything for Rec Room, it could be the best interest of Snapchat. Like I said, Snapchat's had that chance, they've gobbled it. So they've got what Snapchat's got majority of this time. Will Snapchat make a new Rec Room Cell Pointer. Who knows? But to my knowledge, I don't think they could. But I do have a solid little theory that obviously everyone has seen the movie Ready Player One, which that is like a social, meta social online thing movie. And when that movie came out, I think people have been looking at the online metaverse and thinking, right, will this be a next step that we could take? Who knows? But I would love to see majority of people that are playing this game still come together for one last time and say goodbye to Reckon on the first of June. So whoever watches this afterwards, Godspeed and long live Rec Room. Um, you know, share all the amazing stories about Rec Room.